At some point in time, we have all dreamed about driving a BMW, and no matter if you love the brand or absolutely despise it, we've all kind of wanted to own a piece of BMW. And even though it is one of the most respected car brands of all time, there are still parts of BMW ownership that you should know about before you buy your first BMW, whether it's new or used. So today we're going to talk about some of those things that you need to know before you buy your first used BMW. But before we jump into the video, be sure to check out Downforce for automotive enthusiast apparel, backpacks, and posters, including posters of some of the best cars we've shot with. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications to get notified every time we upload a new video. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things you need to know before you buy your first BMW. Let's jump into our first tip by keeping it simple, and that is avoid the 7 Series, especially the 750 Li. And yes, this one does come from personal experience, but it applies to more than just the 7 Series, it also applies to the 6 Series. The 7 Series is one of the greatest luxury executive sedans on the market, and very few things come close to the prestige, the speed, and the overall excitement that the 7 Series gives you, even though it's meant for 60-year-old men who think it won't work in a minute. But let's look at it logically and try to understand why you should avoid the higher-end BMWs if you're looking to buy your first one. First off, there's the V8 engine that's used in the 750 Li and the 650. It's awful. Don't get me wrong, it is silky smooth, beautiful, very powerful, great performance when it works for the first 200 miles or so. The problem comes when you realize that this V8 engine used in these cars seems to just sort of self-destruct after a while. From valve stems to Vanos issues, these engines really have experienced everything, including leaking from every possible inch of the engine. On top of that, they're also known to excessively consume oil. To put that into perspective, it said it was okay the day before, and then the next day it said it was low. Very low. In one day. No leaks or anything, it just decided that that oil was no longer good enough. The BMW V8 in these cars just really isn't what it's cracked up to be, and I would highly recommend avoiding it now and really forevermore. Sounded biblical there. You can check out more of our experience with the 2011 750 Li in this video if you're interested, but now let's talk about some more details. Depreciation is the 8th wonder of the world, and it works wonders for car lovers like me. We can buy cars for a huge discount off MSRP. But before you jump into that, remember that there's a reason that the 7 Series was closing in on $100,000 new, and that just a few years later can be bought for $20,000, and even now coming up at about $15,000 for a 2011 750 Li. Sure, the 7 Series is a kick-ass car for under $20,000, but take a minute to think about why the market justifies that low of a price for that incredible of a car. The 7 Series and even high-end 6 Series and 5 Series models run through depreciation as quickly as valve stems, and while I love the 7 Series, it's a horrible place to start your BMW ownership. I've found more success with sticking to more common models like the 3 Series, 4 Series, and even base 5 Series. Now, most of this video is geared at someone looking for their first BMW and on a smaller budget of $15,000 or less, especially considering that most used BMWs can be picked up for just a fraction of what they sold for originally. But if you have a higher budget for your first BMW, something a little over $20,000, it is a good idea to look into a BMW with a CPO warranty. Having a CPO'd BMW will give you an extended warranty for 6 years or 100,000 miles, and I promise during that time it is going to be the most wonderful thing you've ever experienced. Something even better than the warranty, though, is that you know the car is still well put together, because every CPO'd BMW has to go through a series of tests before they can give it the CPO badge. That means that the car is going to be tested by someone who actually knows what they're doing before you ever even get your hands on it. With the BMW CPO warranty, you'll get a warranty that lasts for about 100,000 miles or 6 years, whichever comes first. But on top of that, you'll get roadside assistance, which would have been handy a couple of times in this thing. You'll end up paying more for a car with a CPO warranty on it, but at the end of the day, it's the best type of warranty to have. After all, these aftermarket warranties that are offered on cars typically aren't worth anything, and most of the time they don't even cover the big repairs that you really need them for. So going CPO is really the best way to get a warranty, unless you're buying from CarMax. I know this is a given, and I talk about this a little in our video talking about mistakes to avoid when buying a used car, but this next tip really is something that you need to take into consideration. But to keep it simple, just make sure that if you're going to look at a certain car, you at least know how the car is supposed to perform and drive by having other models that you've tested as well. So for example, if you're looking at a 2013 3 Series, be sure that you look at other 2013 3 Series as well. I'll never forget driving down to Atlanta to test drive the 7 Series, and having driven a few at that point, we were able to pinpoint a lot of problems with the transmissions in some of the cars that we were driving down there. On top of that, you'll also be able to get a feel for some of the electrical issues that may be going on, as well as just some general performance issues that the car may be experiencing. And sure, that didn't work out with that particular 7 Series, but we were able to avoid a lot of 7 Series with some really major mechanical issues that were already there. Even though every 7 Series has a mechanical issue, every morning you wake up to a new one. Or they're just all shit, I don't know anymore. The last tip is one that I give in pretty much every single buyer's guide that I do for cars, but at the end of the day, it is still the most important tip on there. And that is, if you're not a certified mechanic or you don't know what you're doing when it comes to working on BMWs, be sure to take the car to someone who does and get a pre-purchase inspection before you waste your money. I promise the $150 that you'll spend getting a pre-purchase inspection is going to be well worth it in the long run, because that $150 could end up saving you $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, and even $6,000 on simple repairs, because these things like to break. Anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications to get notified every time we upload a new video. I will see you guys in the next video. Also, be sure to check out Downforce for automotive enthusiast apparel, posters, and backpacks, but I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Yeah, you'll end up... Yeah.